Mankind has always been driven by a primal urge, an instinct to explore, to conquer, and to find treasure. For centuries, this quest has led us to the most remote corners of the planet. We've crossed vast oceans, we've climbed the highest peaks, all in search of one thing: gold. This shimmering yellow metal has built empires and torn them down. Today that search continues, but on a scale that is hard to comprehend. We're not just panning in rivers anymore, we're moving mountains. Our journey takes us to a place that feels like it's at the edge of the world, a land of incredible beauty and immense danger. We are headed to the remote highlands of West Papua, a province of Indonesia. This is a land of dense, unforgiving jungle, a place where survival is a daily challenge. The air is thin, the terrain is treacherous, and the weather can turn on you in an instant. It's here, nestled among the clouds in the Suderman mountain range, that we find our prize, the Grasberg mine. This isn't just any gold mine, it is the largest gold mine on the entire planet. The Grasberg mine is not just a hole in the ground, it is a man-made canyon. A scar on the face of the planet visible from space. What was once a towering 4,200-meter peak called Puncak Jaya is now a gaping maw. The original mountain has been systematically carved away layer by layer, in the hunt for the precious veins of gold and copper locked within. It's a staggering sight. Imagine a mountain, one of the highest in the region, literally being turned inside out. That is the essence of Grasberg. The scale is almost impossible for the mind to grasp. It's a feat of engineering that borders on the unbelievable. The main part of the operation for many years was the open pit mine. Think of it as a giant spiraling amphitheater carved into the earth. The pit itself is over a mile wide. If you were to stand on one edge, the massive trucks on the other side would look like tiny insects. But the adventure doesn't stop at the surface. The open pit mine is just the beginning. As the surface deposits became harder to reach, the operation had to go deeper. They had to go underground. Now, beneath the massive pit lies a complex network of tunnels, a labyrinth that stretches for hundreds of kilometers. It's a city beneath the mountain. These tunnels are the new frontier of the Grasberg operation. Trying to explain the size of the Grasberg mine with just numbers is tough. The figures are so large they lose their meaning. So let's try to put it in perspective. The original open pit is about 1.6 kilometers or 1 mile across. You could fit several large sports stadiums inside it side by side and still have room to spare. If you were to walk around the rim of the pit, it would be a serious hike. The depth of the pit is over 500 meters. That's deeper than the height of many of the world's tallest skyscrapers. It's a dizzying drop, a true man-made abyss. Now think about the amount of rock they move. Every single day, hundreds of thousands of tons of rock and ore are blasted and hauled out of this mine. To picture that, imagine a convoy of the largest dump trucks you've ever seen. Now imagine that convoy stretching for miles, operating 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The total amount of material moved from this single location over its lifetime is measured in the billions of tons. It's enough rock to build a small mountain range from scratch. Let's talk about the underground city. The network of tunnels beneath the open pit is mind-boggling. If you were to lay all the main tunnels end to end, they would stretch for hundreds of kilometers. That's like building an underground highway from one major city to another. These aren't just narrow passages. They are massive roadways, wide enough for huge trucks and machinery to pass each other. There are workshops, ventilation systems, and even rest areas, all carved deep within the mountain. It's a self-contained world, a subterranean metropolis dedicated to one single purpose: extracting ore. The workforce required to run this operation is another way to understand its scale. The Grasberg mine complex employs or provides work for around 30,000 people. That's the population of a small city. These are not just miners, they are engineers, geologists, mechanics, drivers, cooks, and medics. It takes a massive, coordinated effort to keep this giant running smoothly. The logistics are incredible. Everything from food and water to massive spare parts for machinery has to be brought into this remote mountain fortress. The sheer size of Grasberg is defined not just by its physical dimensions but by the immense human and mechanical effort it requires every single day. Finding gold in a place like Grasberg isn't about luck. You don't just stumble upon a massive nugget. It's a science, a high-stakes game of geological detective work. The hunt begins long before the first shovel hits the ground. It starts with geologists. These are the real treasure hunters of the modern age. They study satellite images, analyze rock samples from the surface, and use sophisticated sensors to map what lies beneath. They are looking for clues, for telltale signs in the rock that point to a rich deposit of ore. They are reading the mountain's secret history to predict where the treasure is hidden. The key to Grasberg's wealth is that the gold isn't found by itself. It's mixed in with a much larger deposit of copper. Geologists look for what they call a porphyry copper deposit. This is a type of mineral deposit formed by hot, mineral-rich fluids that moved up from deep within the Earth's crust millions of years ago. As this fluid cooled, it left behind a mixture of minerals, including copper and, luckily for the miners, gold and silver. The geologists drilled deep core samples, pulling up long cylinders of rock. By analyzing these cores, they can create a three-dimensional map of the ore body, showing them exactly where to dig. Once they have a map of the ore, the real work begins. In the open pit, the process is one of brute force guided by precision. They use controlled explosions to break up the rock. Engineers carefully plan each blast, using a precise pattern of explosives to shatter the specific sections of the mountain that the geologists have identified as valuable. The goal is to break the rock into manageable pieces that the giant shovels can handle. It's a spectacular display of power. You feel the ground shake as tons of rock are instantly fractured. This is the first step in liberating the gold from its stone prison. Underground, the approach is more surgical. They use a technique called block caving. This is an incredibly clever method for mining on a massive scale. Instead of digging out all the ore directly, they tunnel underneath the main ore body. Then they systematically drill and blast the rock from below, causing the valuable ore to collapse under its own weight into specially prepared funnels. From there, it can be collected and transported to the surface. It's a way of letting gravity do most of the hard work. It's a dangerous, complex, but highly efficient way to mine deep inside a mountain. To fight a giant, you need giant tools. The machinery at Grasberg is on a scale that honestly just defies belief. These are not your average construction vehicles. These are titans of steel, built for one purpose: to move a mountain. The stars of the show are the electric rope shovels. These colossal machines can scoop up over 100 tons of rock in a single bucket. That's like picking up a whole herd of elephants at once. They sit in the pit, methodically chewing away at the blasted rock walls, loading the haul trucks with incredible speed and efficiency. They are the primary predators in this industrial ecosystem. The haul trucks are just as impressive. These are some of the largest trucks in the world. A single tire on one of these beasts is taller than a person, and the truck itself weighs hundreds of tons even when empty. When fully loaded, they can carry over 400 tons of rock in a single trip. They are like giant ants, tirelessly crawling along the winding roads of the open pit, carrying their heavy loads from the shovels to the crushers. It takes incredible skill to drive one of these monsters on the narrow, steep roads of the mine, especially when the weather closes in. These drivers are true professionals. Once the rock is hauled out of the pit, it begins its journey through the processing plant. The first stop is the primary crusher. This is a powerful machine that takes huge boulders and smashes them into smaller, more manageable pieces. From there, the rock is moved on long conveyor belts, like rivers of stone, to other crushers and grinding mills. These mills are essentially giant rotating drums filled with steel balls. They tumble the rock over and over, grinding it down into a fine sand-like powder. The goal is to break the rock down so completely that the tiny particles of gold and copper can be separated. The final stage of extraction is a chemical process called flotation. The fine powder is mixed with water and special chemicals in large tanks. Air is then bubbled through the mixture. The chemicals make the valuable mineral particles stick to the air bubbles, which then float to the surface, creating a frothy concentrate. This concentrate, rich in copper and gold, is skimmed off the top. The worthless rock or tailings sinks to the bottom. It's a clever piece of chemistry that allows them to separate a few grams of gold from a ton of rock. This is where the real treasure is finally revealed. What is it like to work at the top of the world, in the heart of a giant? The lives of the Grasberg miners are a unique blend of high-tech industry and extreme isolation. Most workers live in a purpose-built town called Tembagapura, perched on the mountainside not far from the mine. This is a complete, self-contained community. It has housing, schools, a hospital, shops, and recreational facilities. It really has to be, because there is nowhere else to go. The town is surrounded by impenetrable jungle and steep cliffs. For the workers and their families, this town is their entire world during their time on the mountain. The daily routine for a miner is tough and demanding. The day often starts before dawn. They travel from the town up to the mine site, a journey that can involve buses and even a massive tramway that climbs the steep mountain slopes. The altitude is a constant challenge. At over 4,000 meters, the air is thin, and physical work is exhausting. Whether they work in the freezing winds of the open pit or the dark, damp tunnels of the underground mine, the conditions are extreme. Safety is the #1 priority. Every procedure is carefully planned and executed to minimize the immense risks of working in such a dangerous environment. The workforce at Grasberg is incredibly diverse. It's a melting pot of cultures. There are workers from all over Indonesia, including many from the local Papuan tribes. There are also expatriate workers from countries around the world, including Australia, the United States, and South Africa. They bring their specialized skills in engineering, geology, and management. This mix of people creates a unique community, but it can also lead to challenges. Different languages and cultural backgrounds have to come together to work as a single, efficient team. The shared experience of living and working in such an extreme and isolated place forges strong bonds. Life here is structured around work shifts. Many miners work a rotational schedule. They might spend several weeks working long hours on the mountain, followed by a period of leave where they can fly back home to be with their families in other parts of Indonesia or the world. This cycle of intense work followed by rest is a common way of life in remote mining operations. It's a life of sacrifice. They endure the hardship and isolation in return for good wages and the opportunity to provide for their families. They are the human engine that drives this massive machine. The numbers behind the Grasberg mine's production are simply astounding. It's honestly hard to wrap your head around just how much precious metal comes out of this one hole in the ground. For many years, it has been the world's largest single producer of gold, and one of the top 3 producers of copper. We're not talking about a few pounds here and there. We're talking about tons of gold and hundreds of thousands of tons of copper every single year. It is a river of wealth that flows continuously from this remote mountain in Papua to the global markets. Let's break it down. On an average day, the mine processes a colossal amount of ore. From all that rock, they might extract tens of thousands of ounces of gold. To put that in perspective, a single ounce of gold is enough to make a very nice piece of jewelry. Now multiply that by tens of thousands every single day. Over the course of a year, the mine can produce well over 1 million ounces of gold. That's more than 30 metric tons of pure gold. Imagine a pile of solid gold bricks. That's the kind of output we are dealing with. And remember, gold is almost the sideshow. The main event, in terms of volume, is copper. The mine is an absolute behemoth of copper production. It produces hundreds of thousands of metric tons of copper concentrate each year. Copper is a vital metal for the modern world. It's in the electrical wiring in our homes, in our cars, and in our smartphones. The copper that comes from Grasberg helps to power cities and connect the world. The immense value of the mine comes from this combination of both high-volume copper and high-value gold. Over its entire lifespan, the Grasberg mining district has produced billions of dollars worth of metal. The total amount of gold pulled from this one location is measured in the tens of millions of ounces. It's one of the richest and most productive mineral deposits ever discovered. This incredible output has a huge impact on the global supply of these metals. A disruption at Grasberg, whether from weather, politics, or technical issues, can actually affect the worldwide price of gold and copper. That's how significant this single operation is. It is a true heavyweight on the world stage. The presence of a giant like the Grasberg mine in such a remote and traditional land is, well, a complex story. It's a double-edged sword bringing both immense benefits and significant problems. On one hand, the mine is the economic engine of the entire region. It is by far the largest taxpayer in Indonesia and provides tens of thousands of well-paying jobs. It has funded the construction of infrastructure like roads, airports, and the town of Tembagapura itself. The company provides healthcare and education, not just for its workers, but also for the surrounding local communities, offering opportunities that simply did not exist before. However, this development comes at a heavy cost. The environmental impact is the most visible and controversial issue. The process of extracting the minerals creates a massive amount of waste rock, known as tailings. For decades, the mine has disposed of these tailings by releasing them into the local river system. This has buried the natural river valley under a thick layer of sediment, destroying the downstream ecosystem and impacting the traditional livelihoods of the Chamorro people who rely on the river. The open pit itself has consumed a sacred mountain, which is a source of deep cultural and spiritual pain for the local Amungme tribe. The social impact is also deeply complicated. The arrival of so many outsiders, along with the massive influx of money, has drastically changed the traditional way of life for the indigenous Papuan people. It has created social tensions between local communities and the mining company, and between different groups within the community. There have been long-standing disputes over land rights, environmental damage, and how the wealth from the mine is shared. The mine operates in a region with a long history of political unrest, and its presence is often at the center of these complex issues. In the end, Grasberg is a powerful example of the difficult trade-offs that come with modern resource extraction. It highlights the clash between economic development and environmental protection, between corporate interests and indigenous rights. There are no easy answers. The mine has brought wealth and modernization, but it has also left deep scars on the land and on the local culture. It serves as a powerful lesson. The quest for gold and other resources always has a price. The challenge is to find a way to make that price more sustainable and equitable for everyone involved, especially for the people who call the land home. So why do we do it? Why do we move mountains, build cities in the clouds, and burrow deep into the earth? It all comes back to our ancient and enduring fascination with gold. This one element has held a special power over humanity for thousands of years. It's not just about its monetary value, which is immense, it's about what gold represents. It is a symbol of perfection, of purity, and of permanence. It doesn't rust or tarnish. A piece of gold pulled from an ancient tomb looks just as brilliant as the day it was made. This timeless quality gives it a mystical appeal. In a world of uncertainty, gold is seen as a safe haven. It's a physical store of value that has outlasted every currency and every empire. When economies falter and paper money loses its worth, people turn to gold. It is the ultimate survival asset. It's portable, universally accepted, and has a value that is understood in every culture on the planet. This is why central banks around the world hold vast reserves of gold in their vaults. It is the bedrock of the financial system, a final insurance policy against disaster. This fundamental role gives it a power far beyond its use in jewelry. But our craving for gold goes even deeper than finance. It's woven into our culture, our art, and our technology. We use it to celebrate our greatest achievements, from Olympic medals to wedding rings. It's a mark of success and love. In the modern world, its unique properties as a conductor of electricity that never corrodes make it essential. There's a tiny amount of gold in your smartphone, your computer, and in critical components for spacecraft and medical devices. It is a metal that connects our ancient past with our high-tech future. It is both a symbol of primitive treasure and a tool of advanced science. The Grasberg mine is the ultimate expression of this enduring lure. It shows the incredible lengths we will go to, the engineering marvels we will create, and the immense challenges we will overcome to satisfy this deep-seated human desire. The story of gold is the story of us. It reflects our ambition, our ingenuity, our greed, and our endless search for something valuable and lasting. As long as gold continues to shine with that unique, captivating glow, mankind will continue its quest to find it, no matter how remote the location or how high the mountain we need to move.